If we get back to that trend line, the risk reward here is 3 or 4x from here on a worst, absolutely catastrophic event. That means that to us, the risk reward for Bitcoin here, it's the best thing that I can see on the page. Far better than SpaceX, today, being the way that thing's coming to market. It's exactly the time when everybody's running for the exits, and that's where you can capture excess convexity in periods of stress like we have today. Bitcoin alone has its qualities. There's nothing that matches it. Gold is close, but it doesn't have the same strength. Gold is about what? It's about a $30 trillion asset now, right, David? And Bitcoin's hovering around 1. And so, Bitcoin is 16, 17 years old, somewhere in there. And and gold has been used as a store of value for thousands of years. And so, the difference is we are witnessing the adoption phase of a unique new asset. It's tiny, out of the roughly 1 quadrillion investable assets and securities in the world. When you add up all of the real estate and land, you add up bonds and fixed income and M2 and stocks, and you just add it all up, and then you put gold in there, and you've got valuable assets and scarce assets like art and sports memorabilia, and you just put it all together, the collectibles, and then you put Bitcoin in there. It's literally 1 out of 1 quadrillion of assets, 1 trillion out of 1 quadrillion assets, and so it's tiny. It's nascent. It's infantile, and it's only been around for just under 17 years. And so one of the issues here is it's greatly misunderstood. You've got mainstream media putting out hit pieces on Bitcoin almost every single day. And, every time I pull up a Bloomberg or CNBC story, it's a negative story about Bitcoin or crypto. Part of that is because it's been adopted under the Trump banner, and Trump is greatly divisive, and so you've got half the country just files under I must hate that because it's part of Trump, and that's a mistake. It's a terrible mistake. And if you listen to somebody like Elizabeth Warren, so that's a mistake. I think there's a bunch of nonsense up in Washington, D.C., and the system itself is the problem, and the incentives are the problem. So why do I believe that Bitcoin can stand in the same ring? Well, it's easily transferable. It's immutable. Some of the things that stand out for me is that if you want to move $1 billion of Bitcoin, let's go with the gold first. You want to move $1 billion of gold, you've got to first hire people to physically move it with hand trucks, okay, out of a safe or a vault. And then you've got to have security around that. You've got to put it on a truck to get it to a train or a plane, or multiple planes, or a boat, and then ship it from wherever you want. Let's say you want to move it from San Francisco all the way to the UK. You got to go through the Panama Canal. You've got to go all the way. You've got to go a very long distance with that boat, with all that gold, with all your security, and do all that on the other end and have it verified. Okay, so that's your moving $1 billion of gold. God knows how many millions of dollars that would cost. Whereas with $1 billion of Bitcoin, you have your address, you put in the address, you click send, and then it appears, it gets settled on the blockchain, on the time chain, in the next 10 minutes, and it is wherever you need it to be. And that's it. And it costs you a few bucks.
And you hope you didn't fat finger it.
It's perfectly, well, you're not going to fat finger that one. Look, it's nervy to send it. It was nervy for me too, but it was also nervy for me to send my first wire of $10 million or to do my first $100 million trade. That's nervy. But you move money, and it's a risk in that. So, but in the end, you look at it, and you could look at the time chain, and it's easily verifiable. It's there. It's at that address. It's there. Whereas with gold, you might have to cut it open. And like you've had plenty of problems with precious metals sitting in vaults that aren't really precious metals, like silver-plated nickel that J.P. Morgan had once. And it's just what it is. It's hard to identify sometimes, or it's a process. Whereas you can see it right on the time chain of Bitcoin. It's easily verifiable. That's just one thing. It's immutable. You can't change the transactions. It solves a Byzantine general's problem of trusting. It's trustless. And I won't go into that, but people can look it up. I wrote a whole newsletter about it. So that those are the kinds of things that you have at Bitcoin. It's actually for the period that we're in today. We're in a digital period. Everything is done by computer. I will never forget when I was sitting at one of my first hedge funds that I worked at, and the founder of the hedge fund, brilliant guy, a billionaire, just could not get his head around the fact that people would put their credit cards on the internet to buy things on Amazon. And so he shorted the hell out of it. Now the younger guys, and they were like, I don't know, like it's edgy, it's new. Like, I think that people are going to do this. No way a grandmother's going to buy something off of Amazon. I can tell you that my mom, who's 80 years old, buys more things on Amazon. Like 98% of what she buys is on Amazon. You just flash forward 25 years. And so the reality is it's new. It's uncomfortable. People don't understand it. I don't understand IP addresses, but I use the internet every day. I don't understand how my cell phone works. I have no idea how this thing is connecting to towers around me. I don't get it, technologically. That's just not my wheelhouse. But I use it. It works, mostly. So, it's just something that's new. It's misunderstood, and there's a lot of disinformation around it. And there's plenty of disinformation campaigns around it. Some of it was driven by, the anti-adoption, campaigns, because quite honestly, it's disruptive. It's a disruptive technology. And there are some parties out there who didn't want to see it succeed, but it's going to succeed because it doesn't care. It's completely distributed on, throughout the world and decentralized. And there's no one person who can change the code on it. And that's just the reality of it. So yeah, we trust it because it's trustless and we don't have to worry about it.
Hey, I am Maria with Daily Dose Crypto. Have you noticed that gold, silver, and Bitcoin have hit all-time highs recently? Is this a coincidence, or are smart investors onto something? The dollar is depreciating, inflation is eating up all of our cash, and the US national debt is through the roof, hitting new highs every day. That's why people are shifting to alternative assets like gold, silver, and Bitcoin. We at Daily Dose Crypto have partnered with iTrust Capital, your one-stop platform to buy and securely store 80+ digital assets, including Bitcoin, gold, and silver to hedge your future against debasement. With over 200,000 accounts, 15 billion in transactions, and 11,000 plus positive reviews, they're helping real investors build long-term wealth with their tax advantage, IRA, and PCA, which is a premium custody account that supports the highest level of custody and security in the space. They do this all with institutional-grade custody through partners like Fidelity Digital, Fireblocks, and Coinbase Prime, keeping your assets secure while you can trade 24/7. Fees are just 1% per transactions with no monthly or annual costs. Getting started is simple. Sign up for free and fund an IRA or PCA today. You'll receive a $100 bonus and start growing your assets the smart way. Click the link below to open your account now and begin your journey toward generational wealth.
Look, the power law, it gives you a stated kind of level that it should be gravitating toward. It's like that's its point of gravity, and over a period of time. And so if you, just for people to understand when you look at it on a chart, the Bitcoin power law, if you do it on a chart, you're going to have, instead of looking at a price that is, the regular price, a dollar price on a regular chart on your x-axis, and on your y-axis, then you're going to use a log chart instead. So if you see that this is a regular chart that just shows your, Bitcoin price, weekly price and time. And here's a 10% move back in 2014. And here's a 10% move, just a few years ago.
10x move.
Okay, a 10x move, sorry, not 10. So yeah, there's a 10x move and there's a 10x move. So it obviously, this looks like a massive move compared to this. It doesn't really, your brain can't really process it properly. But if you put it on a log scale where the price is on a log, so every move is on a percentage basis, then you go back in the same exact chart. This is your 10x move, and this is your 10x move. Same size of arrow, and the same, so your brain can process it properly. Okay, so now if you do the same thing with your time scale and you plot Bitcoin on it, then it looks like this, where here's your straight line. That is your kind of your governor over time. So now your price is on a log and the time is on a log. So what it means is that the volatility decreases over time around this stated power law, mathematical trajectory. And so, yeah, it will oscillate around it, and that's normal for it to oscillate around it. The power law is only the green line. These lines around it are created by other, they're tacked onto it, and they're just standard deviations that say that the power law will likely not go under that, and if it does, it's for a very short period of time. It's 1 or 2 standard deviations from the governor, which is that straight line, and it will oscillate around it. So when people get frustrated, they say, "Oh, the power law is broken because it's moved away from it." It's not really true. Basically, if you add on that standard deviation to it, okay, and that lower range is what people are looking at now, and you say, okay, well, where has it been in the past against that line? Well, that line, it rarely goes below 1 standard deviation or 1 sigma from that governor, and so as it gets down there, it starts making people very nervous, of course. And you feel like, is this power law breaking? Is it not working? And the answer is no. Like right now, or this past weekend when I wrote this, it was about 1.1 standard deviation away. And to make people understand to where that is from the past cycle, when we had FTX collapse, and it felt like the world was really changing for Bitcoin. It felt absolutely abysmal when it was down at just under $16,000. That was 1.2 standard deviations away. Okay, so that was only like 56 or 57% below that power law trend line. And so now, what does that mean? Does that mean that we can't go lower than here? No, of course not. We could go lower than here, and I think that if we go down to $50,000 or $55,000, that would match that kind of FTX collapse time, and that would feel awful, but it wouldn't be long-lived, I don't believe. So for it to break, for it to break the power law, for Bitcoin to break its power law, it would have to stay multiple standard deviations away from that trend line for a long period of time. I'm not talking about days or weeks. I mean months. It would be like, okay, now it's just not doing it anymore for whatever reason. Maybe it's monetary breakdowns, whatever it may be. Or like we talked about quantum something or other, but that would be something that would be extraordinarily unexpected. And does it mean it can't happen? Of course it doesn't mean it can't happen, but this is the best kind of governor we have for the foreseeable future. Do I expect us to get at that line and stay on and really stay on that line forever? No, of course not. Like we said before, there's going to be continued volatility around this. It's going to oscillate around that governor, but it gives us some sort of guideline to say, you know what, it's way below now. That means that if we get back to that trend line, the risk reward here is 3 or 4x to less than one, like a half x from here on a worst, absolutely catastrophic event. You know, that means that to us, the risk reward for Bitcoin here, it's the best thing that I can see on the page.
Stop. You don't have time. Don't miss out this 2025 bull run. Educate yourself first ahead of the crowd. We have created the ultimate step-by-step crypto cheat guide that will guide you this bull run. Unlock the secrets of crypto and make smarter investments today. Now by clicking on the link below to get your exclusive copy just under $10.